So
ahead of
what?
you. I like to accelerate that.
So again, money walks, bullshit talks. What are we talking about today?
Her.
Who is her? Hey, her.
The newbie at the table.
You guys have something.
I have something in my teeth. Dang it.
Mike, do we get a close-up of her teeth? Because
Close-up of the
perfect.
teeth.
Mike's got you.
They actually are perfect teeth.
Yes.
Really
Yeah,
jealous.
my parents spent a lot of money on my teeth. I can't even
Thank
claim
you.
them, really.
Thank you, parents.
Thank you,
My parents did not. That's why the front four are fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fell a lot as a kid.
I was a
So
latchkey kid.
So we're talking about teeth.
teeth.
Apparently we're talking
This
about teeth,
episode
so-
brought to you by DDS Dentures and Dental Solutions.
Check us out at Tooth Her Teeth.
Yeah. So Lauren Paull.
Yes.
Lauren Paull, tell us about yourself. Who is you? Who be you?
Who is you? I love that intro. Thank
welcome-
you.
welcome.
Yeah, I'm Lauren Paull.
Is this unprofessional?
So I am the owner of LA Productions. Boom.
That's
Is that where that goes?
LA Productions.
LA Productions.
It's in your hands.
Jinx, Oklahoma. Dun.
Which, by the way, that's where all of this is being filmed. It's an amazing studio in Jenks, Oklahoma, USA.
So how do you have to say it on the talk to text?
Yes, it is.
It is the antique.
I get them all the time
Capital.
from him, and
It's
it's
the antique capital of the
JINX.
world.
Oh, well, there it is.
Yep, that's
We're trying to
Jinx.
change that.
That might, but in this room, there's no antiques.
Oh.
Nope, that's a bad joke.
Badooch.
Just need a dump button.
Cut.
Can we get sound effects? I want
So-
a sound effects button.
Oh, that would be awesome.
How long have you been in business?
Yeah, so I have been in business for 11 years this October, which kind of just hit me honestly this morning. I was writing my little Instagram post and I was like, damn, it's been 11 years. But I started as a solo photographer. I am completely self-taught. I have a degree in early childhood education. I was hell-bent on being a teacher.
Really put that into what you did. Just like all of us.
Honestly, it comes, it is helpful at times because when I work with kids, more so whenever I was doing photography full-time, I'm not doing photography as much anymore, but working with kids and families, there were a couple of times when I was like, oh, plug, this is the teacher plug right now. So, but it's nice when you only have to work with kids for about 30 minutes and then they get to go back to mom and dad instead of a whole teaching
For
day.
those that
Is it?
are ignorant and I barely know how to work my iPhone camera, what is a solo photographer?
A solo photographer. So it was just me by myself.
Oh, okay.
Like a one single, like a.
I
mean,
me all by myself.
Who didn't know that?
It was Lauren Paull Photography for a long time. And it really started off as just a side gig just to make some extra money when our kids were little. And then I got to kind of a turning point where I was teaching part-time and then doing photography part-time. And
So you did teach.
So I did teach a little
Okay.
bit,
I
but
didn't
not
catch that
in a
earlier.
school system. It was like little church preschools where like our kids were at. So I taught part-time photography, part-time, and then my photography schedule was filling up so quickly that I was like, I couldn't turn away from it. I couldn't keep doing it part-time.
Were you?
I'm
doing?
so sorry.
So
So
when,
that was like, well, because people ask me like, how did you know that you were going to go full on entrepreneur? And it was basically at the point when like I was so booked that I couldn't turn it away anymore. So then,
so as a solo photography expert, did you do
I think you put
weddings?
the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
You definitely
Did you do weddings?
the emphasis on the wrong
Like,
syllable.
Headshots. Like, what was your specialty? What did you start off doing?
really it was families.
Okay,
So,
family portraits.
Families, kids, babies, all of the above. Yeah.
So again, to be clear, you did not photograph plastic cups and have Toby Keith playing in the background the whole time.
That would be
Which
solo.
would be my guess. That's where my head was.
The first place my head went.
I
Well-
so
Solo
no,
photography.
the
it was
jump
all
from-
family photography right at the beginning for sure.
Where was the jumping point from that to what you're doing now?
Can we pause for 1 second and just
Yeah.
point out what a drastic shift this podcast has taken? Mostly right here. You put the guy in the other seat, and all of a sudden he's like, "So, talk to me.
So
Exactly
So I want to
when
know more.
in your career?"
well, it's
I'm sorry,
not all
I'm sorry.
about me this week, which
Oh,
last week it
really
was,
like
obviously.
He's crossing.
It's not all about me this week.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna be the interrupting cow.
You can be the
Car-
interrupting cow. Do you want me to keep going with my story?
Carry
Yes,
on.
please.
Carry on. Where
Please,
was I
thank
at?
you.
I don't even remember now. Oh,
Solo
jumps.
cups.
The jump from
Lots of
solo photography to what you do now.
okay. So that was like 2017. I started growing my team of photographers.
So no longer solo.
So no longer solo. So
Duo?
that's why
He's
I
looking at
use
you,
the
Solo Cup.
That's why I use that solo term, because then at some point I started growing a team of photographers, because basically I was so booked and so full that I was having to turn away business. So I was like, this is a problem.
So how do you, that brings up a good question there. So when people started, you built your team, or you started building your team, and people are booking, and they're booking with Lauren Paull, right? So it seems like one of those first things that may be difficult is, hey, you booked with Lauren Paull Photography, but you're getting XYZ. So did you just kind of, how was that transition?
So that's a good question.
I know, that's why I asked
I know,
it.
that's why I asked it. Basically, what happened was I trained all of my photographers. So in order to convince clients to like trust my photographers, it basically was like, I've taught them everything they know. Their prices were lower at the beginning, so that also was enticing to people who wanted to try out a different photographer. And basically I took my prices and I skyrocketed them, and I was like, if you want to work with me, this is the price you're going to pay. Otherwise, I need you to trust my people. I need you to trust me that I've brought on talented people. And it was a little tricky at first. We still kind of hit roadblocks where clients are a little hesitant, but at this point, we're 4 years into having a team of photographers, and I feel like the trust is no longer an issue. That's also why at one point, I think it was about 2 years in, everything was branded Lauren Paull Photography, Lauren Paull Photography, Lauren Paull Photography, and it really was just kind of awkward because I expected my photographers, for
You
instance,
down with
Avery.
LPP?
The LPP,
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, we got that all the time.
As you should.
As you should. Yeah, it was perfect. But like, for instance, Avery, she's been with me the longest, but it was kind of weird it was hard to market the business and brand it, and then also under like the different names. So it was like Avery with Lauren Paull Photography. It was confusing. And I didn't really see it that way until I started asking my clients about it and really listening to them. And they were kind of like, we don't understand how this is all working. So somewhere in between that, we also started doing small business marketing. And then I brought Mike on to do podcast production.
Shout out, Mike.
So shout out Mike. Mike's amazing. Yay.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Hey, Mike. So Mike's somewhere here doing all kinds of cool things. But basically, it just got to a point to where the actual name Lauren Paull Photography was no longer fitting. So we soft launched LA. We carried Lauren Paull Photography, and then also soft launched LA LA Marketing Pro. That kind of housed our marketing and podcast production stuff, if you will. And then I think it was August of last year, I just like ripped the Band-Aid off, redid the website. We went full on LA Productions. So now it's one name, one brand, and then we have all of our team underneath it we do all kinds of stuff.
So obvious question.
Obvious.
Why LA?
Why LA?
Is it named after a very popular U.S. city?
No.
Okay.
We also don't have HQ in LA. We don't have a team in LA. I haven't ever even been to LA.
Maybe you should.
It has nothing to do with LA. My first and middle name, Lauren Ashley. So I actually had a good friend who he randomly just started calling me LA at some point, and he was also a part of our team at one point as well. But it just kind of stuck.
It kind of stuck.
It kind of stuck. You know, it do what it do.
It do what it do.
It stuck.
Speaking of stuck, kind of like your hairstyle, did you ever use LA Looks back in the day, the gel?
Still do.
Man, we are rolling in sponsors right now.
I'm telling you. Because I could use a little
All of
love.
LA.
Are they still around?
Stick up.
Here's looking at you, LA Looks.
So,
Yeah. So yeah, LA, that's where it came from. I kind of went through a transition in my life, and I really wanted to keep my name somehow, some way, but I didn't want it to be as obvious as Lauren Paull Photography.
Right.
So we went with it. So far, it
it.
works out well. But I get phone calls all the time. They're like, "So, are you out of LA, or is your team in LA?" I'm like,
Yes,
"No."
offices in LA and Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, we're very diverse.
See, I like LP better, so if you could just change that, that'd be great.
You like LP better.
Is that a yes?
So
or-
honestly, whenever I started trying to work on like the logo and what I wanted it to look like, the L and the P just weren't. I wasn't loving it. So we came up with the LA logo, and I was like, "That's it. I love it. It's perfect. I love the black and white. I love that it's crisp. I love that it's easy." So really, that was kind of the look of it.
It's got panache.
And changing a name after you already started a company is not very easy. I can personally attest to that.
Yeah.
Yours was a drastic change.
Yeah, it was but that's for another show altogether.
That's for another
So
show.
I kind of want to move on to what I think the number one question, like all three of our viewers are probably wondering right now.
Inquiring minds want to
They're
know.
definitely wondering, yeah.
So, and this is
I
kind
don't know the question yet, but I do. Want to.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
sure it's a good one.
I'm intrigued.
I don't even know the question.
That's what makes it fun.
Yes, go on. Yes.
So, have you taken your kids to see Mortal Kombat, and thoughts? I've seen it.
I didn't take them anywhere. We just watched it on HBO
Yeah.
Max.
No.
Yeah, it's
HBO Max.
Cut. Can we just get a new guest in right now?
No, I haven't.
Why didn't we talk about this?
I don't even know what that is.
Mike's losing it over here.
Tag him in. Tag him in right now. Tap in.
So were you
I
were you
haven't.
born in the
I don't have time
80s?
for movies. What?
Were you born in the 80s?
Yes, 89.
89.
Barely.
So I'm an 85 model.
Yeah.
And you don't know what Mortal Kombat is? All right. This is. We could talk an hour on this.
Let's give it 45 seconds of explaining it
Okay,
and
45
why
seconds. Give me
you're
your
a horrible
best
guest because
summary.
of the answer to that question.
It's actually you
Wait.
don't want your kids to see that unless they're
I know.
of.
I almost took my 8-year-old, and my wife was like, probably not. And then after I came out, I was like, yeah.
Do
good
the
call.
first
I
7
took my
minutes.
7-year-old to see Alien versus Predator.
Okay, I have seen Alien versus Predator.
Yeah, it's.
Also got in a big fight. And we're no longer married. So honestly,
So it didn't work out very well.
It did not. So Mortal Kombat was a video game, probably launched in
I'd say early 90s.
early 90s. Yeah.
Okay.
Big hit.
So I was like 2, 3.
But really gory. And you've probably
Oh, good.
heard like fatality or flawless victory. That kind
finish
of stuff.
him.
Finish him.
Finish him.
Yes. Have you heard any of those?
No.
Wow, you're so uncultured.
Do you know what a Nintendo or
I do.
Sega Genesis is?
Sonic
I do.
the Hedgehog.
I'm all for. Oh, I loved Sonic when I was little.
It's like the
And
you know,
Mario.
like
Just keep those sponsors coming.
you could play a game.
I got this.
You could play a
Come on,
game now.
Nintendo.
You're like, wow, this is guys getting shot and this looks awful.
Yeah.
Well, when Mortal Kombat came out, like you punch someone and you just see like red pixels going up and
Blood shooting everywhere.
Yeah.
So you just
Everybody was
fight.
like-
It was just a fighting
Yeah.
game.
Okay.
So they made a movie
Out of the game.
in like the late 90s
First
or
one
early
was better.
2000s. Disagree.
First one was
And
better.
then they just released
second was dumpster fire.
another one last Friday, the new one. Obviously, much better graphics, all the CGI and all that stuff, better acting. You know, just all in all, a better movie.
It was bullshit. See what I'm doing here? Can you get it?
I have never seen that, but
That's a good one.
great.
You're welcome.
Well, that was
Trademark it.
literally the only question I had written down. So
Was Mortal Kombat. Wow. All right.
Are you serious?
So obviously, that means you're a great mom if you don't know
I'm a
or
really
you didn't
good
take
mom.
your kids to that. So.
wait, how old's your oldest?
11. Well, yeah, 11.
I think an 11-year-old could hang.
Yeah, it's
I would definitely take my son if he was 11.
yeah,
Well, I don't know that she would like that.
yeah. It'd be.
I think she would be a little traumatized.
Nah.
Nah.
Yeah, no one.
Yeah, then I have to
see it
deal with the
Strong
rest.
like,
through
ooh.
someone's face and
Yeah,
sleep
well-
well that night.
Yeah, then she has nightmares for like 2 months, and then I have to deal with all that.
It's parenting's a give and take.
It's a give and take,
Learning experience.
You let your boys watch Deadpool?
My boys.
So
have seen
let may be a bit of a strong word.
it. Let-
Your boys have watched Deadpool.
They've seen
You haven't prevented it.
most or all of it. Yes.
Both
Yes.
of them?
Yeah, the 5-year-old was a little bit of an accident, but Not that he
Like,
was an
he
accident.
was an He was an
Sorry,
accident.
Beck. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
The truth comes out.
How old
Yeah.
are your kids?
8 and 5.
Okay. So I have 11, 6, and 4.
Jason, go.
22 and 16.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Austin.
4, 2, and then a boy on the way in August. We'll be here. Number, yeah. Ugh.
4, 2, and new.
A new.
3 kids. Why?
As they say,
What
one
did we
more
do?
to adore.
What did we do? Yeah.
Literally no one has
Well,
ever
I know
said
what
that.
I did, but I didn't think it was going to happen like it happened. But Merry Christmas to me.
So my brother has 4 kids, and he had them in quick succession, right? So my standing joke, and I say it to everyone that's had more than like one child, it's like,
More than one.
you do know how this works, right? You know how I'll draw you a picture. You
That's
can.
every old timer that comes into the brewery and be like,
Right.
"Hey, Sean, you know how that works?" I'm like, "No, please tell me."
Tell me. Show me. Actually.
Never mind. Stop.
Telling you. He was going to tell you either way. He was going to show you.
Yeah,
So-
three's crazy.
So realistically, one of the things I did want to touch on is, and we've talked about it a little
Way
bit.
to bring the
too.
mood down.
Yeah, I know. Buzzkill. So we're dads, right? And entrepreneurs. We've started businesses, multiple, maybe too many businesses. But so there is a difference, right? Especially with our society in how, and I deal with this at home, how society looks at how a father that's starting a business, what the dynamic is there versus a mom, right? And that is changing. Obviously, it's not 1950. But what was your experience as you've built this business and the businesses you built before that have since morphed into this?
Yeah, good question. So basically,
Thank you.
I tell people the last 10
Yes.
years of my life, basically all of my 20s, has been being a mom and growing a business. Those have been my my big achievements in the last 10 years. I grew very slowly, so that I could be home. Kind of the thought process we had behind me having my own business, which you guys will probably laugh at this now because I kind of laugh at it now too. But it's basically so that I could have time with my children. and then, as you know,
Yeah, that was
She was
my
getting
to
ready.
grow a business
that was
and
my
be
first
successful,
mistake
like,
thought.
I'm going to be a business owner so I can have all the time that I want to be with my kids. And really, in the very beginning, whenever I was growing very slowly, I was able to do that. And now, as we all know, as entrepreneurs and
What's the old cliche?
successful entrepreneurs,
If you don't want to work for somebody else, be prepared to work twice as hard for half the pay for yourself.
for yourself,
exactly.
yeah, exactly. So,
If it weren't like that, we wouldn't have the name to this podcast.
True story.
that's
Yeah.
right. So I think really in probably just about the last 4 years has been when I have accelerated the most and seen the most growth in my business. And it was really kind of after the babies were not breastfeeding anymore. Honestly, actually, I think right now is probably like to this month may potentially be the longest time I've gone without being pregnant or breastfeeding or having
Congratulations.
I can't wait to
kinda
give my
felt like
wife that award.
deserves a like celebration. So, but no, it's hard. It was in the beginning, you know, they were so little that they didn't always understand, you know, whenever I was gone or had to be gone. I did have a lot of great support when they were little bitty. Now it's almost harder because they know that mom has to go to work or mom has to do this or mom has to do that. And there's some guilt with that.
Yep.
There's some guilt with like, you know, other moms get to do like the PTO stuff and get to be involved in the classrooms and get to do all the fun after school activities. And a lot of times I don't necessarily get to do that because I am working and I have to be present in my business. But I would say it takes a village, and I have an amazing village like backing me and supporting my kids. I couldn't do it without friends and family who help. And then also like I'm all for like bring the kids to work, show them what it's all about and teach them and raise them to know that hard work pays off. My boys still don't really care, but my daughter, she is little boss babe herself, and she's actually learning how to do photography. And she's all about coming up here to the studio and just seeing what we've got going on. And
awesome.
She understands like work hard, play hard. So it's really neat to see her be at an age where she is starting to understand, you know, the commitment that it takes to run a business. But I try to be very intentional with like obviously setting aside family time and time for the kids and away from work. But also, as you know, it's like the phone's always ringing. I'm always getting text messages and emails, and something's always urgent that has to be taken care of right away. So it's tricky. It's hard.
So I think Austin can speak to this because his daughter literally brews better beer than he does.
That's true.
She's amazing.
She is quite the baby brewer. But
Quite the
now
baby
she
brewer.
actually, so when you're talking about as you're building that, it's like my wife, she basically raised my daughter the first year as I was building the brewery. So I'd work my full-time job and then I'd be there for until midnight.
Broken Arrow
2
Brewing
o'clock.
Company, 331 West Dallas.
333 West Dallas. So close.
So close.
But yeah, my daughter actually took her first steps as we were building the women's bathroom at the brewery. Like we just installed the toilet and I sat down and she walked towards me and I'm like, yay, you took your first steps in a bathroom in a brewery. I'm like, I love it.
That's
but
awesome.
my son,
though,
I think he started crawling in the brewery too. But
yeah.
no, it's beyond tough sometimes. Like it's good to, do a good mental breakdown, scream, punch your steering wheel, and obviously drink a lot too. That helps too.
What?
I know it's weird. I don't do that much.
Don't do that.
You have no proof.
Not me.
Oh, wait.
I've never tasted a beer.
But like you said, yeah, it takes a village, just a support system, and you really find out who is your support system going like, I just need a break. Like, even if it's just an hour, just like I said, go scream in your car or just face down in a pillow. And
You've brought up this screaming in your car thing a few times.
it's so cathartic.
It's a real
real
deal.
thing.
I'm telling you, and then punch your steering wheel, not too hard because you don't want to break it. But,
I don't think
Set the
people,
airbag off.
as entrepreneurs and especially as, all of us have family, everybody has a family and a life and things that they have to take care of at home too. But you go so hard in so many different directions for your business and for your team and for your clients and for marketing and social media. And then you go home and it's like, then you have to show up as a whole different person.
Yeah.
So the whole screaming in your car thing,
I'm telling you.
those mental breaks, like you have to do that. I also think it's just important to give yourself grace and know that, I was telling somebody the other day, I used to be the mom that my kids had matching Christmas pajamas and like the embroidered
still doing that,
Easter dresses or Easter outfits and like all of the matching things. Our house was always like perfectly decorated for every holiday. And now it's like, I don't even know where all that stuff is.
When is Christmas? Like
It's
last
like-
week?
yeah.
Should we put lights up?
Like-
We do the
We're-
pajamas, but
we
yeah, if you walk
are-
in my house, it's like a bazooka, clothes go off.
Yeah,
You're like, all right,
yeah.
are those
We're
dirty?
just like, we're doing good. Like everyone is fed and happy. And I've tried to really just tell myself, like, what is most important? Is it important that they have all the matching outfits, or is it important that we just like read a book before bed every night?
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I think you touched on something really important there, and that's how we kind of started this. The view on the man's or the woman's role, especially you said, you come home and now you're mom. And that's like a whole other big job. And I, kudos. Because society, especially in the past, is like, okay, the man comes home. It's like, all right, time to rest. It's like, where's my dinner? Where's my, why do I not have whiskey in my hand? What's going on? Which is obviously shifting, and I don't know that it's like that in any of our homes. But that's a very different thing.
Not mine.
No, I am guilty of probably letting it slide there, or maybe getting that in my head, which my wife corrects very, very quickly. But she hits really hard. Sorry, babe.
I've seen it.
So that I think that is a different dynamic. Not that it should be. I'm not saying it should be, but I think there are expectations and mom guilt. You said the guilt, and I think mom guilt is very different from dad guilt as well. I don't know how we got to this from business, but it is a thing, and it's something that is in our household.
It's
Side of
important
business.
as entrepreneurs. It's important, especially younger ones that are starting businesses, to kind of know this. Everybody's journey is a little different, but to me, it was a revelation, not just as a dad, but the friends and family, the ones that stepped up to support versus the ones that didn't. And sometimes it was different than you thought it would be in your mind.
Yeah, exactly. Surprising who
very, very much
stepped up.
Yeah.
And like I said, everybody's journey is a little different, but learning those things early on is important.
Yeah, and that's, being a mom, dad, even if you don't have kids and you're trying to start a business and you're planning to have kids, is just know that like you said, when you get home, it's just like you're in full crazy freak out mode. And then you're like, hello, I'm Dad.
Yeah,
and then,
exactly.
or like,
you put your robe on and
hang
pour some coffee. Yeah.
Dad, I'll be right there. I got to go, guys. I'm sorry. So but like it's that mental shift, and you have to do that multiple times a day. And sometimes it sucks, but I think as we get older, as we get more experience in the business, other business owners, we're friends with, and you learn from their experience. Like you said, everybody's got, a different story, a different business, obviously, but it's that one collective goal is we did this not to be millionaires, we hope, but to spend more time, to have that flexibility. Hey, I'm going to take off a little bit early, go take my kids to school. That's fine. But you're still going to get 15 calls. But as your kids know, or as your family knows, I feel like that's really the most rewarding part for that. Like I said, I've made so many amazing friends through, just a business. And now I'm more closer with some of my newer friends I made than back in the day, or like you said, people that stepped up to like, I got you, bro.
100%, yeah.
Just last night, shout out to Gotwood 2 in Bixby. I don't know that address, but it's there. It's on Memorial.
12800 South Memorial.
I went to go fix the kegerator there, and I brought my kids, and within 2 seconds, Brad's like, hey, you guys want pizza? Here's this. Here, we're throwing axes. And I was just like, special little boy. he just jumped in, and it's the same thing. Like, he's dad. We're going to dad mode. Hey, daddy's working right now. Let me take care of your kids. And that's so cool. Like,
so cool. Yeah.
Well, I think the balance, that's what we all strive for, right? You do know, and I think pretty much anymore, no one has the false sense of, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm going to spend 20 hours a week. I'm going to make a ton of money. This is going to be just easy. If you think that right now, you're dumb. Yeah. You're wrong. I'll just say you're wrong. You're not necessarily dumb, but you are for sure wrong.
Unless you were an 8-year-old on YouTube that plays with toys or TikTok.
I really missed the train on it, missed the boat on that one. Yeah. But I think we all strive for that balance, right? You do this because you do want what Austin said. You want the flexibility. You ultimately want, like, the reason I do it is I want to leave a legacy. I would love for one of my kids to take over the business that, hopefully isn't bankrupt by then. And, but if they don't want to, it would suck if it comes down, we're 10 years later and Brooks is 18 and he's like, Dad, I just really don't like what you do. And I think it's real dumb and I'll never do that. I'm going to do my own thing. And then I'll be like, great. Pay for your own college.
Hope you're listening, Brooks.
I think that's one of the things, right? We do it for the flexibility, but finding that balance is really important because it is so easy, and we're all different, but it's so easy to get trapped in that. It's like, no, I'm doing this right now. And the mind thought, it is a mind thought process is, hey, I'm going to work really super hard right now. Yep. And in just this amount of time, things are really going to cool off. It's going to calm down. Then we're going to be good. It doesn't always work that way.
No.
Right?
It definitely doesn't. No. It seems the harder you push, the more intense it gets, and it just keeps escalating because success breeds opportunity, breeds success, breeds opportunity, and it just, which is a good thing. It's like a snowball starts real small at the top, but as it gains momentum, it gets bigger. But man, yeah.
Well, and I think as entrepreneurs, we're guilty of like what you said. Like I'm always like, okay, next month things are going to be a little slower, and it's going to be good, and I'm going to have time for this, this, and this. But then something new comes up, or a new project, or a new opportunity, and we're like, wow. Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden, we are motivated by the opportunity. We're motivated by the potential. We're motivated by that adrenaline rush of like, let's go harder, let's do bigger, let's keep moving forward. But I think that's what makes us entrepreneurs. Like that's the mindset that we have to have. But I also think it's important, and I talk to my small business owners about this, like, again, back to balance. Like you want that, like, I'm going to kick ass, be the best of the best, on top, all of that. But you also need to say, okay, but what are my actual goals? And what are my intentions here? Because it's not to go take on the world. It's to do A, B, and C and not get overwhelmed by, trying to do way too much, because then
I need to find
that flows over into that work-life balance, and you're just drowning in work. And
you two need to listen to this real quick.
I don't know what you're talking
I need
about.
80
Boys.
things to do right now.
Just by the way, anyone want to start a new business?
Yeah.
Like right
I've
now?
got 3 right here. Let's do it.
No.
Right now.
I'm topped out. Mike's looking at me like, don't even think about it. She's done. She's cut off. But yeah, I think for sure the balance. I was also thinking when we were talking about just relationships in general, especially friendships. Like I have noticed over the last, probably 5 years, like you really kind of find out who your friends are when you're an entrepreneur, because there's so many times when friends are like they just don't understand. They don't get it. Like, why are you always busy? Why can't you say no? Why can't you step away?
Right.
And especially when it's your baby, when it's your business, like when we moved here, like I have been here every single day, 5 days a week, sometimes on the weekends, a lot of times on the weekends actually. But when it's your baby, you have to foster it. But it's interesting to see who those people are that really stand by your side, and they say, okay, I probably won't see you this month, but we'll get together next month and everything's gonna be great.
It's that, and you find out who your buddies are. Like, hey man, you own a brewery? Can I have like free kegs whenever I want?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, man.
Wait a
I
second.
just want to.
Wait a second. Why are you staring at me?
Yeah,
Why are you staring at me?
No, I'm sure it's the same thing with you guys. It's just like, hey man, can
Absolutely. I was just having this conversation the other day that 90%, I would say outside of friends and family, or outside of family, I have 2 friends that I associated with prior to 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in my life has come from this current state of business that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
And it is shocking and surprising sometimes when you think you've got this friend base and it's going to be support when you start something. You think, oh yeah. And it's, to me, it's hardly ever the ones you count on that step up and support. It's these new friends that you build that are willing to pour so much of themselves into supporting you.
Yeah.
And then you get the people like Austin was just talking about that just show up with their hand out. Well, cool, you got a business now. What do I get? And you're like,
And you must
Where
make
were
so
you?
much money, and you must get to do whatever you want with your time.
That's the favorite.
Because you own a business, so duh.
Yeah, you just hit,
So
and
you
that's like donations too. Everybody's like, hey, you're almost 3 years into a brewery. You're probably a millionaire. Can we have like $2,500 worth of kegs?
True.
It's good exposure for you. I'm like,
It's
It's
good
good
exposure.
exposure.
that is the
It's the classic.
key.
You know what's gooder exposure?
Yeah.
$2,500. Well, I think so, and I say this all the time too. My full intent for my career was corporate America, and I did that for 12 years, and I was really good at it because it's a game, it's relationship building, and you have some other skills, but I'm really good at relationship building, so that helps a lot. And then the big difference to me, many big differences, but one of the major differences in becoming an entrepreneur, going out on your own, is you get to choose who you want to work with, who you work with. Now, sometimes you're going to be in a situation where it's like, you just can't pass up. You really need that revenue for the company. You can't pass that up. And maybe it's not someone or a company you would want to work with.
we were just talking about this yesterday.
Yeah. But you get to choose. And this is where we're at. So both of these guys, we started just because I cold called you. You guys happened to be back in the office in the back of the brewery, and like literally walked in. It's like, okay, cool. So started working with you, and then, we became friends.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jason. My whole family, we started coming and throwing here in Jinx at Got Wood Axe Throwing LLC. Oh, I didn't even look at the camera. I looked up at the line. That didn't work.
Didn't work.
So, but we do that, and we became friends. He was a client, and then became friends, and we just kind of transitioned that into working together in other different ways, right?
Yeah.
We've been working on stuff. The 3 of us are working on stuff right now, and I think that's because you get to choose. And I'm waiting to work with Lauren over here if she'll, work with me.
She
I don't
could
know what your problem
solo.
is, bro.
She could
What you
solo
waiting on?
photograph our new venture.
Solo photographer,
Photography.
photography.
Hey, Mike,
That's right.
Photographer.
how much would Toby Keith pay us to play Red Solo Cup this entire time?
Question.
We're not paying him. He's got to pay us.
He's gotta pay
Just
us.
understand that. Toby.
Toby.
But
So,
that's, I think like what you're saying is that's where these relationships and friendships happen is we all are like-minded. We are business-minded, where most of us are family. We have a family, I should say. So we know that, hey, if I screw this person over, or if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, I'm going to be hurting his family. If he did that to me, I'm going to get my feelers hurt and then stab you with one of your guys' axes, your knives you make, Toro.
And Austin's like,
That really jumped up a notch.
Wow, that escalated.
Segue to your knife.
Went from screwing you
Toro
over in
knives.
business to murder.
To murder.
Well, you don't have to kill someone, you stab them.
I think the other thing that
Just
comes to mind
name
when talking about corporate world versus, what we do, I love that we get to be so hands-on with our clients. And a lot of time in corporate world, there's so many different ladders and pieces that, a lot of times people don't even always see your client. And for us specifically, just having that interaction, and I'm sure you guys all get to be hands-on with your clients too. So you really get to see like people being happy and getting to, enjoy life. And I think there's so much good that comes from that, especially for people like us who we feel like you guys probably feel like this. You pour and pour and pour and pour. And then it takes that one client that's like, hey, you are doing awesome. This was a great experience.
Totally worth it.
Like, you're amazing, or just that they've had a great experience and that comes right back to you. Whereas in corporate world, you don't
hit you
get
in
that.
the feels.
Yeah. Those direct relationships and the direct experiences are something that we enjoy for sure in this business. So.
Yeah, because the corporate world, they'll be like, well, number 72, you're not fired this week, I guess. So,
So that means you're doing okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That started my entire journey of working for myself. As I got fired from a corporation for literally thinking for myself.
Mm-hmm.
you can't do that.
Yeah, I'm killing myself for 5 years, making tons of money for somebody else and wondering why couldn't I do this myself? And just simply that thought that I expressed to somebody else got back to the wrong people, and I got fired for that, for literally thinking I could do this better and for myself.
Yeah.
And I got fired, but it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me because
Turns out it was true.
it was absolutely,
winning mentality.
it kind of forced me to, back up my my talk. So, yeah, it was cool.
How's that lip plumper doing for you? Your lips look great.
Do they? Shout out to Emerge. Emerge Medical. Those ladies are awesome.
I think I said something
You
about
wouldn't
it
have
last
even
time.
noticed. You wouldn't have even noticed.
I don't remember anything about last time. Did I say? You said I made a joke.
My duck lips.
Yeah, so you guys out there, all of you
Not going to see it.
watching, are totally going to see it.
All of you.
All
So many
of you.
people.
Yeah.
Put my glasses back on real
So
quick.
last week, you should plug those ears. Last week, Austin went on a little rant about LP's. Man, that just rolls off so much better than LA. LP's lips. And so here we are.
Did he do it in the podcast recording, or was it just for me?
I think it was at the beginning. I don't know if we were actually
I don't
rolling.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I was
apologize.
very bruised and I was swollen. I told you guys, I was like, it just happened. Don't look at my lips.
So I wasn't like
And then-
saying, "Hey, look at you." You're...
Do you want me
No,
to do
I brought-
exactly what you
I
were doing?
brought
No,
it up.
no.
No, I brought it up.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that was a mistake on your
I
part,
shouldn't
by
have
the
even
way.
said anything. Shouldn't have even said anything.
Like,
No, that's okay. I
that was a mistake
apologize
on your part.
That was my
Apologize to you and everybody else. And sorry, Mike, if I offended anybody.
fault. No, nobody.
Mike was very offended. I talked to him. He actually cried himself to sleep that night.
Cried himself to
I'm like, buddy, it'll be okay.
He had to scream in his car.
He didn't. If he would have screamed in his car, he would have been fine. So that's the takeaway from today's episode: is scream and punch.
I'm gonna
I'm gonna
try
try
it.
it.
Just, I'm telling you, turn on like the Foo Fighters, blare it, and then just scream your lungs out, and you'll be like,
Here's looking at you, Dave Grohl.
yeah. Yes. Dave, if you're out there, I love you.
He's totally out there, but he's never gonna see.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, you never know.
So what's coming up for you, LP? I'm literally going to keep saying that until it sticks. Just so you know,
Austin's like LA.
it's not going away.
LAP.
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 Lap. Which could
All
be.
right. Yeah, let's go.
He had Cardi B thoughts.
Let's go backwards.
Didn't you?
Oh, no.
He had Cardi B
I
thoughts
think we
over there,
all
didn't
did.
you?
We were all
See?
there. Let's let it go.
So right now we are getting ready to be topped out on our podcast production clients. So we are super excited to have you guys join in. There's only so many that we can accommodate and be very productive and effective and all of those good things.
Sounds like you need to start a new podcasting only business too.
Oh yeah.
LAP2.
LAP2.
Lap 2.
Trying to keep it all under one umbrella. But
That's smart.
smart. Trying.
Tip number 1 of the entire podcast.
Write that down. You got a pen.
Write it down. Yeah, and then we've got on the photography side, spring sessions are in full throttle.
Full bloom?
Full bloom. I like it. And then
You could have that
we
one.
go pretty hard in the summer too. Family sessions are really big in the summer. And then we are back to launching our boudoir photography.
Ooh la la.
And
Dirty.
I won't make you guys blush, but I will just plug this for a second. We boudoir was something that it's always been something that I've been very passionate about, and then COVID hit, so we had to like pause for a while on it. But we have done a couple rounds in Tulsa that were super successful. We do hair and makeup, and then we have the photographers. We offer champagne and chocolate covered strawberries, and
I'm in.
we have a great time. It's girls only.
What have you
Just broke my heart.
What about
Dang it.
Have you seen our calendar,
Dang
by the way?
bro?
What happened to sexual equality?
Boudoir.
Right there, you slide in images of our calendar. The Men of Got
Oh
Wood.
yeah.
The men of
2020.
Oh god, that was so gross, but awesome at the same time.
gross.
But that's
fair.
you guys need to do a boudoir, like all your fancy stuff.
Boudoir is what they call
Yeah,
it.
dude. Okay.
It's very fun.
Boudoir.
Well, boudoir.
Trademark
Carlson Ferguson.
Yeah, so we are aiming to travel over the next 12 months. So we are working on getting over into Oklahoma City and Kansas City and Dallas. We call them boudoir experiences. We kind of do a marathon, if you will, for a whole weekend. So that's coming up. And then small business marketing, we're just hitting it hard with that. We have 8 small businesses that we represent right now. I try to keep it at 10. So I'm getting ready to let everybody know we have 2 spots open.
All right, 2 spots
So-
open. LAP lap.
LAP.
Number 1.
Piece 1 something.
Is there a camera over there? He keeps looking over there. They're just staring into the lights.
Nice.
Well, one day we'll figure this whole thing out, but it has been an
Probably
absolute
not, though.
pleasure, and lips on
we
point.
wrapping this up?
Lips on point.
Is that a cue? Did we get a cue somewhere?
Austin's out. He's done.
No, I thought we could only have so long, but I'll stay as long as you want.
I feel like it's been 14 minutes. I don't know. How long has it been?
By the amount of sweat on my forehead, it's been longer than 14 minutes.
We have 2 minutes, 38, 37, 36. So about 2.5 minutes. That's what we got left. Wrap it up.
I need
Wrap
to
it
thank
up.
all of our
So-
sponsors. Toby Keith,
Oh, yeah.
Solo Cup, Dyson, Cardi B. Who else we got?
Who's the lip plumper?
Oh, Monster.
Hey, real quick.
Emerge
Duh.
Med Spa.
Emerge Med Spa.
Cardi B, is it WAP or WAP?
Wow.
It's whatever you want it to
I
be.
think
That's
it's
the great
Wappo.
thing about it.
Let's
I think there's a correct answer.
let's go ahead and jump
Potato,
over that
potato.
part. Gross.
Skip the WAP.
I just want to let you know that there's so many one-liners that I've let go in this last 43 minutes because
I had to bite my tongue the entire time she kept
Wow.
saying hands-on.
hands-on.
That's the whole
You know
reason I
what-
keep
you
doing
know what
business
we
with
used
him
to say
because
about our
he's really
photography
hands-on.
sessions? We'll end it on this. You know what we used to say about our photography sessions until I was called out on it? This is how we're going to end the episode. You ready? Our photography sessions are quick and easy.
Actually, you just said that in
Quick and easy.
in an Instagram post
I know,
like in the last
somebody,
week.
and
So
somebody
I
called me
used
out
to
on
say
it
that.
again. Somebody called me out on it
Mike-
again. I'm like, you guys.
Mike, we got the in right here. She's going to say quick and easy, and I'm just going to look at the camera and go.
Guilty on both counts.
That's all I got.
Well,
Thank
awesome.
you guys so much for having me. This was a blast.
It's been a pleasure, and pleasure to not slur as much this time. So I'm going to keep that
Marginally.
trend. I'm going to keep that trend
I
going.
mean, you still slur, but it's like, that's just you.
Carry.
That's who you are. Man.
Carry, everybody. I'll just end on here.
Oh, yeah. Super cool.